We're going to start with the squad because the news this week was bad. I was joking, for the squad at least, I was joking with Ryan Grimm, James, that I was going to start putting stickers over the heads of the squad members on his book cover because they're all on the book cover. And now they're sort of dropping like flies after Jamal Bowman. So this week, what's the update that you have for us? It's primary season. Cori Bush, right?
Yes, so squad members who are the most progressive faction of the Democrat Party and basically all of Congress. Cori Bush, the congresswoman from Missouri's 1st District, she lost her race to Wesley Bell. The interesting dimension here, and as you mentioned earlier, is the fact that this is very much a concerted campaign being directed towards the squad members. So over $8 million was spent by one group, and one group in particular, and that was AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Over $8 million was spent in unseating Cori Bush here, primarily because of her criticisms of Israel. And it follows on from the $15 million that they spent on unseating Jamal Bowman in New York. So it really speaks to the rising influence or the enduring influence of AIPAC and telling congressional members, especially on the progressive side, to essentially wind their neck in on the Israel subject.
Okay, so we just have to pause and think about the magnitude of those numbers, by the way, because when we talk about spending in politics, it's easy for the numbers to just kind of fly by and be like, oh, that sounds like a lot. But if we pause and think about $8 million in a Missouri House race spent by a pro-Israel group, and they never run ads, by the way. Again, Ryan is a great reporter on this. Their ads never have anything to do with Israel. They'll maybe run like one ad about a given member, you know, whether it's Ilhan Omar, whose primary is next week, Cori Bush, or Jamal Bowman. These ads that they're pouring all of the money into, they're not really about Israel. They're about sort of tying the candidates to chaos and all of that. But in a House race in Missouri, $8 million, $15 million. So double that to defeat Jamal Bowman. That's a more expensive market, so you have to spend more money. These are staggering figures.
The Cori Bush, that was $8 million. So that was the second most expensive primary in history. So in some regards, they did actually bring this upon themselves. As you say, they are just congressional members. They have no say over foreign policy. But then why were squad members being so vocal about Israel, so vocal about Gaza, when actually, on the other side, we had Cori Bush, who failed to pass a single piece of legislation. She voted against Joe Biden's flagship infrastructure bill. So she doesn't really have much to bring home beyond that.
It really gets under my skin, as much as I might disagree with Cori Bush on like maybe literally everything, but it really gets under my skin that you can just be a normal House member who, she actually has come through a working class background. She's not one of these super rich members, and she works her way into the House of Representatives and gets ousted because she has a different position from the political establishment on one given issue. It just like they can swoop in and buy the seat away. Now that said, I think the counterpoint to what I just said is that you also have to consider that she left herself open, vulnerable, knowing that groups like AIPAC are out there, by not focusing more. Like, was there a version of Cori Bush that could have been as vocally anti-Israel as she was over the last several months, and then also retained the seat because she had been really busy passing legislation, she had been working for visibly for people of Missouri, and Wesley Bell maybe never would have run even in the first place? I guess that is an open question. The money stuff just drives me nuts. It's just so much money.
It also speaks to just the degree of influence this group has. And in her closing speech, where she admitted defeat, here's what Cori Bush had to say.
AIPAC, I'm coming to tear your kingdom down.
So a very defiant Cori Bush there, really taking on AIPAC. But whether one newly unseated congresswoman can actually do anything to undo all the influence that AIPAC has over the party is pretty unlikely. But it does show all the ways in which this group is changing the DNA of the Democrats. Fall in line with Israel, or we're going to work to unseat you. And that's the dynamic at play here.
Right, and I guess squad members need to think about how to make their arguments in the context of, looking, not just looking, but doing, so that you can look like you're working for your constituents on sort of bread and butter kitchen table issues. And Ilhan Omar right now seems like she's okay. Her election is next week. It seems like she's going to hold on, whereas with Cori Bush, there were polls that had her down by 20 plus points. There were polls that had her down a lot less than that. She ended up losing by about 5 points, but Ilhan Omar looks like she's safe. And so maybe for other squad members, I mean, I think she and AOC they are the biggest lightning rods among squad members, arguably on the whole left. They are the most controversial squad members. So if they're continuing to hold on to their seats, maybe that's a playbook, I guess, for some other squad members to follow going forward, because this is not going anywhere. If you're willing to spend that much money, you're not just going to stop at some point. Well, if you enjoyed this clip, please make sure to subscribe to the Undercurrents YouTube channel. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a like, give us a comment. It helps so much. And for premium access, make sure to subscribe at undercurrents.tv. Thanks so much.